Hi, I'm a Possum and I find garbage. Today's garbage is Splatter Farm, a shot-on-video movie written by, directed by, and starring the Polonia Brothers and some guy named Todd Smith, but he's not important. I already explained who Mark and John Polonia were in my review of Virus Shark. They were twin brothers who used to make extremely low-budget shot-on-video movies together until John died in 2008 from a heart aneurysm at the age of 39. But Mark continues to make movies to this day. Splatter Farm is often called the Polonia Brothers' first movie, but it's not. It was just the first one they managed to get distribution for. This was during a time when VHS tapes and the movie rental market were new, and rental stores were desperate for content, so anyone could sell a movie to them, and people who didn't have the benefit of internet reviews, which was everyone, would get tricked into paying to watch them, and this led to a cottage industry of low-budget shot-on-video movies made by complete amateurs. The Polonia Brothers were among the most prolific of those filmmakers, and even though the tape rental market doesn't exist anymore, trashy ad-supported streaming services like Tubi TV have taken their place, so the legacy lives on, now in HD. As of the time of this video, Mark now has 93 directing credits to his name on IMDb, 12 of which came out in 2024. As you can imagine, churning out feature-length movies on a monthly basis does not yield the highest quality. But you know what does yield the highest quality on a monthly basis? Your mother. Oh, hold on. Never sleeping with wife. What the hell are you talking about? I didn't even know you had a wife. Liar! Me see you on security camera. You also drank milk. You're senile. I wouldn't f your wife even if I could. I bet she's ugly. Stay off property. I bet your milk was ugly too. Prick. Alright, on to the review. The movie starts with a clip art logo, the text explaining how this movie was supposedly based on an unspecified incident that happened in Pennsylvania in 1968. No such incident ever actually occurred. I looked it up. You can't imagine how heartbroken I was to realize that Splatter Farm lied to me. But don't worry, I'll be okay because RFK Jr. is gonna make us all eat beef tallow. We see a farm, and then we're introduced to our first major character, Jeremy, in the process of dismembering a corpse with an axe, while someone off-camera sprays blood from a ketchup bottle. Then he picks up an arm and starts pleasuring himself with it.
Dildo don't bleed if you chop it in half with an axe.
We get a title, and then we see Jeremy in low frame rate, cutting out someone's heart and eating it like a gender-swapped dramatization of my last marriage. Then one of the Polonia brothers wakes up. We get a montage of him screwing around and drinking, and they made sure to throw in a shot for the women in the audience. Don't pretend this grosses you out, ladies. I've seen the books you read. He hears a car honk, and then we cut to the brothers driving a car over a dead animal. See, this is symbolism for how the Polonia brothers like to drive cars over dead animals. Their characters' names are Joseph and Alan, by the way, and they're on their way to their Aunt Lacey's farm to spend the summer, and Joseph complains about her.
The sea hag better not get on my case. That's all I have to say. What is it about her you just don't like? I don't understand.
Joseph speculates that Aunt Lacey has an incestuous interest in Alan, and then they realize they're lost. We cut to Aunt Lacey pouring water into a glass and then calling it lemonade as she calls over Jeremy, who happens to be her farmhand. He comes shambling over with his shirt open and pants unzipped and drinks the lemon water, and then Lacey tells him her nephews are coming, so he should get the guest room ready. The brothers look at a map, which they had to get out of the car to look at for some reason, then they continue driving. At the farm, Lacey looks at a photo of her dead husband, and then we see the basement. I don't know why the Polonia brothers thought it was important to the story to show the Halloween props they neglected to pack away, but maybe it'll make sense later. Then we see Jeremy slowly walking around the farm until he gradually makes his way to the pony and gets a funny idea. He passes through the barbed wire and then swings a hammer which somehow causes blood to splatter on him from off camera. The pony must have been really confused. Then Jeremy screws around in the barn, picking at the liquid latex on his hands and eating it. We get a shot of Joseph and Alan driving, and then we cut to them just sitting at the dinner table with no shots of them arriving or anything.
I'm gonna cook your meal better than your mother can cook.
That won't be too hard.
Joseph makes fun of Jeremy.
You got a brain, asshole.
And Jeremy touches himself. Baby being called an asshole is exciting to him. Lacey asks the brothers about their parents, then Alan asks what happened to the ponies. Lacey just says their owner came and took them away. Then Joseph announces he has to take a shit and leaves.
I hate to spoil lunch, but I gotta take a shit.
Then Jeremy walks out, leaving Alan alone with Lacey, who starts poking him with her foot. Alan excuses himself, and then we cut to him sitting outside. In the bathroom, Joseph opens the medicine cabinet, and a dried up dead animal falls out, and he just picks it up and looks at it. This is not important. Jeremy grabs a hand scythe. That's what it is. It's not a sickle. There's a difference. Don't f***ing correct me, assholes. And Alan sees him and follows him. Back in the house, Joseph comes into the living room and falls asleep on the couch while Lacey gives him creepy looks. And then we cut to some guy in the woods, chopping wood with the wrong tool. Jeremy comes sneaking up, and the guy somehow doesn't hear him loudly stomping through the leaves, so he's able to hit him with the scythe. Jeremy licks the bloody neck stump, then picks up the head and sticks his willy in it. I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting more class from the Polonia Brothers. We cut to Alan walking through the woods, and then he runs into Jeremy, who drips blood on his hand from a paper bag before running away. Then Alan finds the body. Back at the house again, Jeremy glares at Joseph, and Alan tries to tell Lacey about the bloody paper bag, but she says Jeremy was probably picking berries and they were dripping. No, Alan doesn't tell anyone about the decapitated body, because that would make too much sense. Then Jeremy looks at Joseph and licks his lips. Then we get a repeat of the scene where Jeremy cuts someone's heart out and eats it, and it turns out to be another nightmare sequence. Then one of the Polonia brothers goes into the kitchen, and I'm not sure which one it is because their clothes are different now, and they both have the same Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite haircut. He hears something outside, and like any white person in a horror film, he decides to go outside to investigate. He tries to go into the basement, but the door's locked, and he notices a light on the barn, so he heads over there and runs into Jeremy again, but then he just walks away. The next morning, Jeremy spins around while wearing a latex mask, intercut with B-roll of a butterfly, and then we cut to the brothers eating breakfast with Lacey. She tells them to help with the chores around the farm, then Joseph walks out to find the lawnmowers, but then he sees Jeremy cutting himself, so he runs away and pukes, and then the cat eats it. I'm starting to think the entire purpose of this movie is to be shocking and gross. Sometime later, the brothers are washing Lacey's car, and it's explained in an ADR line that they don't have their car anymore.
What are we cleaning Aunt Lacey's rust bucket for? Well, Jeremy took back the rental car I borrowed, so least we could do.
They look at Jeremy, who's cutting grass nearby, and remark at how strange he is instead of being freaked out now that they both know he's a violent psychopath. They talk about how their Uncle Ray died because an axe fell on him. Joseph says he heard a noise in the basement last night, so he's the one who investigated the noise, now we know. But Alan says it's probably just rats. I remind you that he's the one who saw the decapitated body in the woods just yesterday, so his nonchalance about this situation is inappropriate for his character at this moment. But none of the three people who wrote this movie could think of a better way to write their way out of this scene. Anyway, Alan says they should go visit the Nolan girls.
Means the ones with the big titties? What if their boyfriends show up? Then we'll kick their asses.
Aha! Oh no, it's my evil twin brother, Rossum Previews. That's right, and I've been using our shared likeness to frame you for my misdeeds. So you're the one who drank Sasquatch's milk, and slept with his wife. That too. Ha! Why are you doing this? F*** you, that's why. I wasn't expecting a perfectly valid reason. Soon, an angry mob will run you out of town, and without anyone to waste their money on, your $10 patrons will start to get weighed down with pockets full of cash. Oh no, without empty pockets. Alex Bones, Aquac, Ariel Valentine, Balls, Ben Davenport, Richard Sticks 99, Cortez, Christopher, Delcar, Diesel Weasel, Dire Angel, Dirty Mike, Eduardo Sanchez, Eric Hepatari, Fabian Branch, Crackle Soraya, Gopo, Goma Flame, Gothic Trash, Hey Ren and Penna, Ivan Stansbury, JD Tails, Jimmy Jam, Joel Berg, Josh Limehart, Lee, Livjack, Marco Magpie, Marcus Aurelius, Martuz Polachek, Booty Boy, Warzox, Noble Team 33, Paco, Punk Tum, Robert Bishop, Salty Bucket, Samantha Myers, Scout Punk, Stove Lightning Goblin, Thomas Brown, Tiberian Luke, Tony Belmonte, Toxic Masculinity, Twilight City Studios YouTube channel, X Stripping Grunt X, and Zenith. Won't be able to walk to the refrigerators anymore. They'll all go into hypoglycemic shock. That's right! So why'd you come here? Just to tell me your evil plan? Actually, I was wondering if you still had Mom's old cookbook. I was gonna try making her casserole for Tiffany. Oh, how's she doing? Well, you know, still working on her degree. It's been what, 2 years now? 3. 3 years? Damn, we're getting old. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna go see if I can find that book. You want a beer or something? No, I can't stay long. I got more misdeeds to frame you for. Yeah, it's always something. Okay, I'll be right back. Aunt Lacey stares at the photo of Uncle Ray again, and this is intercut with one of the Halloween props in the basement we saw earlier, implying that this is supposed to be his corpse. Jeremy sees Lacey go into the barn, then has a flashback to the time he hits someone, presumably Uncle Ray, with an axe and gets really angry. Aunt Lacey talks to the corpse.
Now you're gone and you leave me alone with Jeremy. He's a fine boy and you would be proud of him, even if he did kill you with an axe.
She pulls some dust out of his crotch, and then we cut to Joseph and Alan coming back from wherever they went, and decide to investigate the barn. They go inside and find a bloody boot on the floor, so they run out and go to the house to use the phone to call the police, but it doesn't work. Alan tells Joseph not to tell Aunt Lacey about the boot because it might just be Jeremy playing a prank on them, but Joseph gets mad and storms out. Outside, Joseph looks at something in the distance that we can't see, and then we go to watch him silently walk around for 2 minutes until he finds a bloody skull in the woods, which he proceeds to poke with a stick. And then he sees a nearby shovel and starts digging. Yup, that's a skull alright. At the house again, Lacey walks into the living room with Alan and starts looking him up and down, then offers him a cup of tea. She goes into the kitchen and puts cups on the stove, then asks Alan where Joseph is, and he explains that it's not Joseph's fault that he's an asshole, because some unspecified bad things happened to him and now he thinks of himself as a loser. See, this is the movie attempting to have character development, but it doesn't lead to anything. Lacey then prepares the tea and pours some kind of powder into one of the cups, which she then gives to Alan, who drinks it. The drug kicks in almost immediately.
I drugged you, but don't worry, you won't remember a thing in the morning.
What are you talking about?
Alan passes out, and then we get a stylized rape scene. Yeah, Mark Polonia co-wrote the screenplay in which he gets raped by an old woman. Sometime later, Alan wakes up and goes outside where he sees Joseph sitting. He sits next to him and Joseph explains that Lacey and Jeremy went to town. I mean literally this time. Then he shows him the skull he found. Joseph goes in to try to use the phone again.
Still dead.
Then Alan and Joseph go to the car they were washing earlier, but it won't start.
I guess we're stuck here. Not if I can.
Later that night, Alan and Joseph just kind of screw around and talk about Aunt Lacey and Jeremy, who they have suspicions about even though it's patently obvious that he's a murderer.
Well, there's more to that guy.
So I guess because the car won't start and they can't just simply walk away, Alan decides to go sleep in a house with 2 dangerous wackos, while Joseph stays up to read a newspaper. Eventually, Joseph gets up and puts a blanket on Alan, then he goes outside where he hears Jeremy whispering his name.
Joseph.
He goes looking for Jeremy, who then comes out of the barn and a fight ensues. Jeremy knocks out Joseph and drags him into the barn where he ties him to some kind of pipe thing and just slaps him repeatedly, then pisses on him, then spins him around and pulls his pants down. Jeremy then shoves his hands up Joseph's ass, and then licks the shit off his knuckles before wiping it on Joseph's face. John Polonia co-wrote a movie in which all this happens to him. Jeremy grabs a pitchfork and I think he stabs Joseph with it, but the way it's shot, it's not really clear. Then Alan wakes up, then Alan goes back to sleep. Jeremy then goes to the basement and knocks over the skeleton of Uncle Ray.
I'm the man of the family now, Daddy.
Then Lacey wakes up with the skeleton next to her in bed, so she gets up and finds Jeremy combing Joseph's hair. She berates him for moving the skeleton, and then they bury Joseph, who's still alive but too weak to struggle. The next morning, Alan wakes up and asks Lacey if she's seen Joseph. Of course she says no, so he goes out and asks Jeremy, who's sitting in a lawn chair, polishing his shotgun instead of his dick for once. He just kind of smiles creepily, so Alan goes looking for Joseph by himself. He goes into the barn, nothing happens, then he goes back out to Jeremy and just kind of looks at him. And then he sees some birds.
Son of a bitch. I'll be back.
So Alan runs off to where the birds are circling around and finds the spot where they buried Joseph, conveniently indicated by the shovel still sticking up out of the ground with Joseph's glasses on top of it. Why'd they even bury him if they apparently wanted Alan to find him? Alan runs back to Jeremy and then this happens.
No, No, Jeremy!
Jeremy!
No, no!
Lacey and Jeremy sit down at the breakfast table and Jeremy tries to explain himself.
He was poisoning you, Mama. He was poisoning you.
Don't mama me, boy! Oh, if you only knew, you stupid a**hole.
Lacey then reveals the big twist, that she's the one who killed Uncle Ray, and she made Jeremy think he killed him. How? I don't know. He hit him in the face with an axe. I don't know how you fake that. I also don't know why she said Jeremy killed him when he wasn't there to hear her.
He's a fine boy, and you would be proud of him, even if he did kill you with an axe.
But in any case, she had her reasons.
He raped me, and I spawned you. The results of inbreeding.
What?
So Jeremy decides he has to punish Lacey.
I must punish you.
He picks up some spike thing wrapped in tinfoil and stabs her in the groin, and then it turns out it has a fuse.
Tell Mother, watch your temper.
Then Jeremy gets naked and spins around in the tall grass, and then the movie just kinda ends. Then they pad the rest of the movie with a montage of random scenes from earlier in the movie, and then we get the slowest credit roll ever. Hey, they gotta get it to 69 minutes somehow. 69. So that's Splatter Farm. Ha ha ha! Now what? I just farted in your neighbor's mouth while he slept. You know he's a genuine psychopath, right?
He kill you? Wait, two Possum? But which one real?
I'm the real Possum. He's my evil twin. No, I'm the real Possum. Shoot him. Sasquatch, think of all the times we've had together. Remember that time I left you to the goblins? Remember that time I stole your gallbladder so I could sell the stones on the Chinese black market? What? Whoa, Sasquatch, how did you... That's the end of the video, but I have a challenge for my audience. In the comments, tell me about the last thing you ate. Whoever ate the best thing gets to fillet a shotgun. And don't forget to subscribe, check my channel for other videos you may have missed since YouTube doesn't always tell you when I upload. Leave a comment, support me on Patreon, and send me your fan art. The links are in the pinned comment. Bye.